It can be tough to understand how beliefs can be so strong if you are suspicious about ideas like the power of positive thinking or the law of attraction from the book, The Secret. How can simply thinking about yourself or others bring about change? And can science actually show this? Yes, psychologists have discovered evidence to support the idea that your views can have a significant impact, even if those beliefs are wrong about something or someone. Some of this evidence comes from the concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy. In this video, I'll discuss what a self-fulfilling prophecy is and how research has shown that even a false fact may be manifested through the power of belief. Self-fulfilling prophecies have impacted people's lives throughout history and have served as the basis for numerous films, plays, and books. So what precisely is it? Robert Merton, a South Philadelphia-born sociologist and psychologist, defined a self-fulfilling prophecy. He coined the term self-fulfilling prophecy while attending Harvard University. He defines a self-fulfilling prophecy as a false definition of a circumstance that elicits new behavior, causing the originally incorrect perception to become true. Many feel Merton's childhood influenced his invention of the self-fulfilling prophecy. He was born to Eastern European immigrants and grew up in the impoverished neighborhood of South Philadelphia. He was also growing up in an era when the American dream offered riches and fortune to immigrants who came to America and worked hard. The concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy is similar to the law of attraction, the power of positive thought, and other fundamental manifestation notions. If you think anything about yourself, you will continue to live that notion regardless of whether it is accurate. However, the self-fulfilling prophecy operates in a cycle, explaining how prejudice, bias, and quick judgments about people can have a greater impact than you might realize. So I'll explain how the cycle works. Because self-fulfilling prophecies operate in a circle, we must first believe in ourselves. Maybe it's that we're truly capable of taking on a specific project at work, or maybe it's that we're powerless, that what we do is meaningless. These ideas then influence our behavior. If you believe you are capable of taking on the world, you may confidently run for municipal council. Others will see your behavior and form their own opinions about you. They witness your confidence and efforts to alter the world, which stem from your values, and they say, "Wow, that person can really take on the world." These individuals subsequently begin to act in ways that mirror their views. For example, they may vote for you, tell your neighbors that you are confident or know what you're doing, or applaud you at a town hall meeting. Then you begin to observe those activities. You see those people clapping for you and sense the support of your community. These incidents support your initial assumptions about yourself, and the cycle begins again. Of course, this cycle can be disrupted or penetrated at any point. Unfortunately, this loop works even when your thoughts are negative. If someone has low expectations for you from the outset, you may begin to meet those assumptions. Self-fulfilling prophecies do not have to begin with your thoughts about yourself. And as you'll see from the studies and my illustrations of this phenomenon, we constantly impose self-fulfilling prophecies on others. When society teaches you that everyone with a given color, gender, religion, or other distinguishing characteristics is a good or evil person, it can be quite tempting to fall into those categories and perpetuate a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm going to talk briefly about an interview. Several research have been undertaken on how self-fulfilling prophecies manifest in interviews. When the interview subject is seen to be more or less qualified than others, on the one hand, bringing in an attractive woman increases the interviewer's likelihood of being courteous and pleasant to the interview subject. The interviewee responds positively to the warm energy and open body language, and as a result performs well throughout the conversation. One well-known study presented in the nonverbal mediation of self-fulfilling prophecies and interracial interactions placed white and African American interview subjects in front of white interviewers. When the researchers saw the interviewers speaking with white and African American participants, they noted substantial disparities in body language. On average, African American candidates were interviewed for 25% less time than white prospects. This study was done in 1974, but considering the ongoing vitriol against minority groups and women, it still strikes an uneasy chord today. So I'm going to give you examples of self-fulfilling prophecies. The first example is the Great Depression. How powerful is a self-fulfilling prophecy? It is possible that it will produce depression or a recession, affecting the lives of everyone in the country. You might wonder how. Fears of a recession influence how people manage their money. In the event of a recession, customers may save their money and spend less. Even if the average consumer spends 5% less than they did previously, projections indicate that a country's overall GDP might fall by 3.5%. And during the Great Depression, many withdrew all of their money from banks out of fear of them failing. As we all know, banks were unable to handle such drastic shifts and eventually crashed. The second example of a self-fulfilling prophecy is marriage material. A self-fulfilling prophecy might also influence who you end up spending your life with. When you start a relationship, you may have some expectations about how it will progress or how the individual will fit into your life. You can glance at someone and think they're perfect for marriage. You then date them, be patient with them, and work hard to maintain your relationship with them. The person senses that you are serious, and if they believe you are also marriage material, they will respond with the same level of dedication to the relationship. However, it can also work in the opposite direction. The opposite may occur. If you assume someone is only a fling, you are less inclined to date or court them and take the relationship seriously. And that sends a message to the other individual, making them less likely to stick around. Example number 3 is Oedipus. The Oedipus complex is not an example of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but the story of Oedipus is, and there are numerous great stories, myths, and other references to self-fulfilling prophecies. But if you're unfamiliar with the story of Oedipus, here's a simple overview. Oedipus is born, and his father is informed that he is destined to murder his father and marry his mother. It's strange, I know, but when Oedipus' father hears the news, he abandons him and leaves him to die, preventing his destiny from being fulfilled. Anyway, Oedipus is discovered by another family and learns about his tragic fate. So in order to avoid killing his father, who raised him rather than his biological father, he abandons his adopted family. Shortly later, he has a battle with his real father and murders him. Then he marries the man's widow, who he soon discovers is his mother. The prophecy was fulfilled. Fairy tales, 1,001 Night stories, and Macbeth stories all feature self-fulfilling prophecies. Of course, they are works of fiction, but they nonetheless serve to comment on the real-world phenomena of self-fulfilling prophecy. I have another example for you: hockey. Did you know that 40% of the best hockey players are born between January and March? And there's an explanation for why this happens. It has to do with self-fulfilling prophecies. In Canada, hockey clubs begin cutting off age groups on January 1st. So children born in January through March are months older than children born in April through December. A child born in January can be nearly a year older than a child born in December. And when you're still growing, those 11 months can make a significant difference, particularly in body size. Well, children born between January and March are considerably more likely to be larger and taller than younger children, giving them a significant advantage. Because of this advantage, coaches are more likely to begin to focus on them and provide additional practice. All of that extra attention pays off, according to one theory, which explains why hockey players born between January and March are far more likely to enter professional leagues. Finally, there is something else I'd want to teach you. It's known as the Pygmalion Effect. So academics investigated the concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy, commonly known as the Pygmalion Effect. The earliest Pygmalion Effect experiments were conducted in the 1960s by Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson. Rosenthal and Jacobson chose a set of students at random and informed their teachers that they had been assigned a special test. The results of the exam revealed that the youngsters were growth spurters. In actuality, the test scores did not necessarily indicate that the pupils stood out among their peers, but the teachers were unaware of this. Anyway, at the conclusion of the year, the researchers evaluated how the students performed. Those that were regarded as growth drivers improved significantly over the year. They were much smarter and performed much better on the examinations. So what's remarkable about this study is that the youngsters were unaware of the test's stated outcomes. Only the teachers knew about it. And this demonstrated that the teachers' belief in their students served as a catalyst for their progress. So think about that for a minute. Your teacher's perceptions of you played a significant role in your academic progress during childhood. How insane is that? That seems ludicrous to me. Anyway, moving on, the Pygmalion Effect is beneficial in studies such as the one with the growth spurters. Consider how the reverse Pygmalion Effect occurs in everyday life when media, such as the news and movies, portray one group of people as violent. How might that influence how you treat them or how they perceive themselves? How may self-fulfilling prophecies be formed when important personalities claim that a group of people is less deserving of rights or is fundamentally greedy? Everything comes back to that. The students were not involved in the previously described study, but they were influenced. So reflect on your own life. What prejudices, judgments, or attitudes might be preventing you from succeeding? And how can you change your beliefs, followed by your actions, to have a greater beneficial impact on your life and eventually the lives of others? I want to thank you very much for viewing this video. I enjoy doing videos like this, and I hope you learned a little more about self-fulfilling prophecy and the Pygmalion Effect. If you have any questions concerning this, please leave a comment below, or you may view the rest of my social psychology video series. Thank you very much for watching.